First of all, before the race begins, as you can see, we are not in Bell Hill in England. We are actually at Barcelona in Spain. Unfortunately, Bell Hill had to cancel at the last moment because they had a snowstorm and they just didn't have the equipment needed to clear the track in time for the race. So we are here in Barcelona, a track we originally weren't going to go to because of the dangerous pit road. For this race, track officials here in Barcelona have allowed us to slow the speed limit down on pit road from the original 70 miles an hour down to 45. Without further ado, here's the race. Starting on the pole for race 3 of the 2013 HARC Pro Series season here in Barcelona, Spain, would be the 1 car of Eric Cesar. On his outside would be the 23 of Zachary Brown. Coming into turn 2, Eric Cesar would be able to clear Zachary Brown and would get the lead. Down into the third to last corner, Eric Cesar would slap the wall, so would Zachary Brown, and so would many other drivers. Many drivers throughout the race would hit that wall. Coming down to the start-finish line, Damir Bejgianov would dive to the inside and get the lead from Eric Cesar. Like Eric Cesar, Damir Bejgianov would hit the wall coming into the third to last corner, but he wouldn't lose any positions. Coming down to the line after the second lap, Pichu London, Brock McMahon, and Zachary Brown would go 3 wide for a second, as Pichu London would continue in second. Coming down into the third to last corner, Damir Bejgianov would run wide, and that would give the lead to Pichu London in the 31 car, who took a terrific tumble in race 2 a few weeks ago at NASCAR Speedway. On the third lap, Zachary Brown and Brock McMahon would decide to come into the pits for unknown reasons. They either have mechanical damage or they just hit the wall too hard coming off the third to last corner. Coming down into turn 1, Damir Bejgianov would force Pichu London to the outside, and with some help from Stephen Henhock, he would get the lead. Coming down into the third to last corner, Stephen Henhock would smash into Damir Bejgianov and almost spin out, exiting that turn as they were just following each other way too closely. And we have 4 wide racing back as James Davis makes quite a few passes there. Kyle Pillanini trying to make some on the outside as well. Great racing here in Barcelona. That lap, Truck Series champ Mason Wood would come into the pits. Looks like he has some terminal damage as well. Coming down the front stretch, James Davis and Kyle Pillanini would both get a huge run on Damir Bejgianov, who now has some significant rear end damage. And Kyle Pillanini would come out with the lead through turn 1. Kyle Pillanini hit the wall like so many drivers previously had in the third to last corner. Richard Trelinsky, last week's winner, would get to the inside and take the lead. Richard Trelinsky would continue with the lead for a few more laps. Coming through that disastrous third to last corner, Pichu London and Kyle Pillanini would get into each other. Kyle Pillanini would slide up and hit the wall again, and many people would pass him. Mason Wood, who was half a lap down from coming into the pits earlier, would be in the pits again, trying to repair more terminal damage. Coming up the hill on the front stretch, Nathan Gibson would get around Richard Trelinsky and would make the pass coming down into turn 1. The next lap, Pichu London and Kyle Pillanini looked to have some problems from their earlier contact with the wall, and they both came into the pits this lap. The same lap, Richard Trelinsky would get a run on Penn Isman and would get by with some help from Leo Walker in the 18 car. Same lap, Spencer Fullerton, who was running right at the back of the field, decided to come in and make his pit stop. Meanwhile, Mark Nutt got a run on Richard Trelinsky, and with some help from, well, not really some help from Leo Walker, he would still be able to make the pass going into turn 1. Going into the third to last corner, Mark Nutt would run wide, as would Leia Walker and Connor Breton would get around both of them. This lap, Eric Cesar would decide to come into the pits. Coming down through the S's, Robert Moss got into Damir Bejjanov. They slid down the track into the outside wall and then collecting many cars. Zach Hofschneider, Shrimp Engritz, Ilya Bonarenko, almost collecting Andreas Allen. Chaos down through the S's there. Coming down in the third to last corner, Connor Breton would run wide as so many drivers have today. And Bendover would get to the inside of him and Leia Walker and would take the lead. He would hold this lead down to the caution flag. During this caution, many of the drivers who hadn't already done so would come into the pits and make their pit stops. As we see Luke Walker and James O'Shea battling it out in the pits a little bit there. However, many cars stayed out as well. I don't know what they're doing considering they're probably just going to run out of gas if they do this, but probably about 15 cars at least there stayed out. As it turned out, I guess some of the drivers did realize their mistake and came in. Those included James Bond, Zach Harvick, and Connor Breton this lap, along with the pace car who came in. This left Peter Saviano to lead them back to the green flag. The next lap, many of the lead cars came in. Mark Nutt, Peter Saviano, Richard Trolinsky, and a few others also came in. So drivers just absolutely screwed themselves out of a race by not pitting under that caution. This gave the lead to Stephen Henhock. The 8 car behind him of Brock McMahon is actually a lap down. The same lap though, Stephen Henhock and James Davis would come in for their much needed pit stops that they missed under caution. Our current leader is Ben Dover. Zachary Brown in the 23 in front of Ben Dover is actually a lap down. Ben Dover and Luke Walker will get a huge lead over the third place car as a few cars made contact out of the third to last corner there and basically checked out the entire field. Coming to the third to last corner, Ben Dover would slap the wall, giving the lead to Luke Walker in the 5 car. He's trying to avenge his near win at Daytona in the first race of the season. Luke Walker had no drafting help, and because of that, Ben Dover was able to slipstream by him down the front straightaway. Back in one of the smaller groups that pitted after the last caution, Jacob Young and James Davis made contact, spinning each other out, but they didn't make contact with the wall or any other cars, and they would continue. However, this would bring out our second caution. Apparently the drivers thought track position was good for the restart, so we had a 3-wide battle between Ben Dover, Ron Young, and Nathan Gibson coming to the line, but Ben Dover would continue as leader. Ben Dover would get the restart with just 5 laps to go, with still 24 cars on the lead lap and only 5 cars completely out of the race. Ben Dover would continue as leader until, with just 2 laps to go, Ben Dover would have to come into the pits, giving the lead to Ron Young. Coming down to the white flag, Ron Young and Nathan Gibson would have to come into the pits. First and second place had to give up their positions just coming to the white flag. This would give James O'Shea the lead. O'Shea would never relinquish that lead. Spencer Fullerton tried to make a last lap pass, but he just wasn't able to get a run to do so, and James O'Shea would win the race. Spencer Fullerton would capture second. Coming in third would be Leia Walker, fourth would be Luke Walker, and fifth would be Eric Cesar.